Hi YouTubers. Lately I've been pretty active on YouTube in terms of communicating with others in the YouTube community, and I thought it might be a good time to share my own perspective. This is Julian. Julian is a fundamentalist Christian and a creationist here on YouTube who's been very active lately, posting dozens of videos in just a couple months' time, all dedicated to criticizing atheism. For my own part, I've always personally subscribed to the notion that respectful communication, a la Sam Harris, is preferable to the confrontational approach elevated to an art form by the late Christopher Hitchens. There are times when the proverbial good cop approach fails and the bad cop becomes necessary, but I usually try the former before resorting to the latter. So I reached out to Julian and tried speaking to him as one human being to another to explain my point of view. Despite all of the bigoted ideas he spreads about non-believers, my sense is that he holds these prejudices out of ignorance, not malice. The real sticking point for me in my interactions with Julian has been his misrepresentations of my own position. For someone who's so passionate about his beliefs, he doesn't seem to try very hard to convince people of the truth of those positions. If you watch certain videos of his, you'll see a lot of very pretty nature shots, meadows and flowers complete with narration of how beautiful and complex and wonderful the world is, and how can anyone not believe in God in a world filled with so much beauty? But ask Julian for hard facts in support of his beliefs, and he does what so many other fundamentalists do, and instead attacks skepticism and science as if disproving them somehow proves Christianity and creationism by default. His latest tactic has been to insist that anything anyone believes without witnessing it firsthand is a faith-based belief, ignoring the fact that in science an idea must be repeatedly tested and scrutinized by independent experts whose job it is to seek out and expose errors and frauds. Julian insists that people accept the findings of science on faith alone, often in deference to the authority of scientists, the way that Catholics defer to the authority of the Pope. In a vain attempt to make it look as if my current beliefs are as irrational and unsupportable as his own, Julian blithely ignores the peer review process. He also ignores the fact that if scientific theories were just the musings of ivory tower academics with no more factual merit than the professions of personal faith asserted without evidence by religious evangelists, then the technologies based on these theories wouldn't work. Like so many other fundamentalist Christians, Julian gets completely out of his depth when he takes on evolution. In his criticism of atheism, he claims to have read what he equates to hate speech in the works of Richard Dawkins, but in other videos he claims that if evolution were true, then we should be able to see human beings turning into butterflies or elephants. How could anyone who has ever read anything by Richard Dawkins actually think that evolution makes such an absurd claim? In a word, dishonestly. The only explanation is that Julian is lying, either about having read the work of Richard Dawkins or about evolution itself. I hate to think badly of people, and I want to give Julian the benefit of the doubt, but his claims are too contradictory. Either he has never seriously read the work of any evolutionary biologist, despite his claims to the contrary, or he has and is simply lying about the theory itself. A person who knows nothing about evolution might challenge a skeptic like me to prove the theory by going into my backyard with a video camera and capturing evolution happening on film. Such a person will stubbornly refuse to listen when people who know what they're talking about try to explain that evolution isn't something that happens to individual life forms, but to populations of them interbreeding across the span of many generations amidst variable environmental conditions. This is why a warning flag always springs up whenever I hear a creationist assert that science says this or scientists claim that. How would a creationist know? Creationists don't listen to scientists. They only listen to each other. That's why they're creationists. Equally as insipid is Julian's claim that scientific beliefs are faith-based because individuals like myself have not personally verified the accuracy of all scientific claims. But this argument is false on its face because if scientific claims were as baseless as religious claims, then so many hypotheses of the past would never have been discredited and discarded through the peer review process. Alchemy, vitalism, Lamarckism, expanding planet theory, polywater, and Pons-Fleischmann cold fusion were all ideas that garnered great interest at one time, yet today no one, apart from a few cranks, believes in any of them. If scientific ideas are simple conjecture and not required to be demonstrably correct, then why are all these ideas not still widely held? If the scientific method and peer review process could so handily discredit all of these theories, then why can't it do the same with evolution, or current estimates for the age of the Earth? Rationalists like me believe the claims made by scientists regarding evolution because the scientific method and peer review process have been proven to work. I would point out an irony here, because one can reasonably assume that throughout his life, Julian has taken his doctor's advice with regard to medications without ever personally confirming the findings of pharmacologists and epidemiologists. Yet is taking an antibiotic or vaccine an act of sheer faith? No. Even without personally confirming the findings of doctors and researchers, it's a safe assumption that not only have these drugs been rigorously tested by many independent experts, but they remain available indefinitely to be tested at any time by anyone with the means and desire to do so. This stands in contrast with religious claims which cannot be tested by anyone in any objectively verifiable way. But the denial of evidence-based beliefs is doubly insidious, because not only does it allow people like Julian to dismiss scientific theories as mere unsupported opinion, like his own beliefs are, but it also allows him to dismiss out of hand any evidence anyone ever tries to show him in support of these theories as the baseless musings of angry heathens trying to disprove God. To try and get through to a mind that is not only closed, but also so full of demonstrably false nonsense that it's near to impossible. This is the madness of fundamentalism. When trying in vain to reason with such people, the aggressive style of Christopher Hitchens doesn't seem so out of line after all. Thanks for watching, and as always,